Children, you studied about the nutrients or the food that is passed from one organism to the another. In the chart, you studied that producers are used by herbivores for their food, then herbivores are used by primary consumers, carnivores, and these primary consumers are used by the top consumers, which are also the carnivores. Okay, in this way, transfer of food takes place from one organism to the another. But how that transfer of food takes place, we will see now. Transfer of food takes place maybe in the form of food chain or a food web. Now, we will see what is the difference between the food chain and the food web. Interactions go on continuously between producers, consumers, and the saprophytes. Means producers produce the food, consumers consumes the food, and the saprophytes grow on dead and decaying matter. There is a definite sequence in these interactions which is called as a food chain. Herein, you observe that one organism is used by the second, second is used by the third, then by the fourth, and then fourth is used by the first one. In this way, a chain of food occurs from one organism to the other. Okay, that is called as a food chain. But an ecosystem where many food chains are interconnected at various levels, that is called as a food web. Here you are observing in food web that one organism is not used by only other organism. 2-3 more organisms can use that first organism, and thus they forms the web. That's why it is called as a food web. So the difference between food chain and food web you can see through the diagram. This diagram will not be for the examination, but just to understand the concept food chain and food web, go through this diagram. In the first diagram, you are observing that producer is producing the food, that is plants, with the help of sunlight, which is used by the grasshopper. Then grasshoppers were used by the frog. Frog is used by the snake. Snake is used by the vulture, and then decomposers. Again, all these organisms, when they decomposed, used by the plant as their food. Means herein you are finding that organisms are in the chain. One is utilized by the second, second is utilized by the third. But in the second diagram, you will observe that plants, green plants, can be eaten by a rabbit, it can be eaten by deer. Okay, plants parts can be eaten by the monkey also directly. Are you getting? Some grains are shown. These grains can be eaten by hen, can be eaten by birds, monkey. Okay, then these herbivores, that is tiger is shown, which is a carnivore, it can eat to the rabbit also, it can eat to the deer also. In this way, here in the second picture, you are observing that there is not a chain pattern. Means one can be used by the second, second is using the 2-3 other organisms, so that is forming a web. This is the difference between the food chain and a food web. An organism may be the prey for many other organisms. Are you getting? Such an intricate network, it is called as a food web. Generally, we find food webs in nature. Have you understood? So, if organisms are used by the other organism, you say that it is a food web. Are you clear about the difference between food chain and food web? So this food chain and food web helps us to balance the equilibrium in the nature. Okay. Next is the energy pyramid. You know, just now or in the previous slide also, you studied that producers, that is the plants, produce the food. That plants are used by the herbivores, then by the carnivores, and then by the omnivores. You are finding a pyramidal structure, okay, that is said to be the trophic level. Each level in the food chain, it is called as a trophic level. Trophic level is the step at which organism obtain its food in the chain. You are observing that in each step, what is happening? The amount of energy is going on decreasing. Producers produce the food, some of them it is utilized for themselves, then it is passed down to the herbivores. Herbivores, they are called as the first trophic level. They transfer the energy to the carnivores, okay, but some amount of energy is kept with them. Then carnivores are used by omnivores. In this way, in this trophic level, you are observing that transfer of energy takes place, but it is a pyramidal form. Energy transfers that takes place exchanges